executive committee, just kind of want to walk up here.
Come on, Dave.
Start with us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've been told if I don't bring this along, I'll have to buy lunch.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Let's bring it along, okay? Take the roll, please.
Mayor. Yes. Benefield. Brooks.
Yes.
Trufelone. Yes. Gould. Hart. Yes. Ogalla.
Yes.
Parker. Yes. Seeley Feary. Tumanello.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Winfrey. Here. Busis. Here. You do have a quorum.
Okay, we have any things?
No.
Under old business, we have amending the liquor ordinance. Jim, is Jim here?
Yes.
Oh, there he is. Okay, Jim. Do I give just a brief, or I can just briefly say that one of the liquor licenses of the county, basically due to annexation, the license went over to an incorporated or to a village license, the license still in existence. So our question is, so for us, we need to go, do we need to go into public hearing?
No.
So we'd be decreasing the total number of licenses to 57 to reflect the current number of licenses or active licenses. We will take this to the full county board where there will be a public hearing. Okay, we also added the language that the county executive will report to the county when a license is relinquished. And no, I didn't say that quite right, but my mouth is, my tongue didn't work. So we may consider whether the number of licenses should be adjusted. So that will also be a change in the ordinance. So I'll entertain a motion to move this forward to the full county board. Got a motion second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Next we have enterprise resource planning, request for proposal update. Is Mike Shea here?
I am.
Okay, Mike.
I'll keep it busy.
Come down, Mike. You come down here. So we can hear you better. Is this where we're really, this is really where we're looking to, this will come under number one, or new business also. This would only require a bid bond. Doesn't work in all cases, especially for professional services. It doesn't always, or kind of quasi-professional services. It doesn't always really work for us to, or on behalf of the taxpayer, because these firms just won't bid. So we don't get a competitive bidding situation, or we get no bids at all. So that's what basically you're going to say under old business, right, Mike?
That and
So
we removed a few things from the RFP. We're going to stay with Aon Hewitt for Benefits Administration as the county signed a new renewal with them. And we are also removing timekeeping, and we'll stay, the offices on Kronos will stay there. Removing the bid bond, and those are and also removing the bid bond.
What I'm trying to do is move it down to new
Performance bond,
business.
and that is the hard one.
Okay, so moving it down to new business, waiver of bid bond for the ERP, RFP. So you're requesting for that to be removed from the.
Yes, we require a performance bond for the vendor group selected.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to do that.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Mike, you're good to go. Okay. Under number 2 under new business, renewal of contract with Avaya. For phone system maintenance, I'll entertain a motion. Move.
Second.
Second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we have adopting the action plan for, declaring sheriff's seized vehicle surplus and authorizing disposal.
So.
Motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Adopting the action plan for the CDBG home and ESG grant program
Question.
from October 1st, 2007. Yes.
Question. I see this thing in their list where there's a code enforcement for rental inspections.
Okay, so I'm gonna entertain a motion to remove that from the action plan, and then we'll get into discussion. So if I can have that motion.
Yeah, move. Second.
Okay, discussion. Now, I will tell you that I'm not here today to argue the merits of a rental inspection program. But what I am here to say is that this board is the policy-making board of the county. And I think it's more appropriate for a policy such as rental inspection, which could have a lot of merit, go through the county board, the policy-making body of the county. I understand the anxiousness of perhaps some to bring this along, but I think that those funds that were set aside for this should go to where it has a direct impact right now, or where we didn't fund something fully in this year's programming. Let this go to the county board where the discussion should take place, specifically to the land use committee. And if there's a study that needs to be done, or if the committee decides they think a study should be done, the county will pay for that study. And the study will belong to the county. We'll be going back to CDBG for their recommendations, which is not a policy-making body. This is the policy-making body. So that's why I'm going to suggest this be removed, so we can have something that's very transparent, open, and being at the right place. And for those through CDBG and the Land Use Department, I promise you it will become a part. I will assign it to the Land Use Committee for beginning discussions, where they're currently discussing codes, code enforcement, and other changes to our ordinance. So that would be the reasoning to remove it. It has nothing to do with the merits of such a program. It has to do with going to the, what I believe is the appropriate process. That not only to the policy making, everything we do is in open session, and it gives people plenty of time to have input. Not to do some study and come back with recommendations to us when we should be at the beginning of the process, not at some end of the process. So that's why I'm recommending it come off. So we have a motion and a second, and all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that will not go forward with recommendation. Mr. Pullman, you should take this to the Land Use Committee or come to the county board. I will place it on assignment to start the discussion about such a program, which I think could have some merit. I'm not saying it doesn't. So, all right?
Question on the senior service safe homes. Could you expand a little bit just on that? And not a lot, because we've got a whole lot of, we've already put a lot of time in on the meetings today. The senior services and your senior homes, safe senior homes.
Let's give a synopsis, Ron, of what that program is.
What that 65,000.
By the way, you know, Ron, I really would like to, hopefully we can get to the county board meeting pretty quickly, because you do give a little synopsis of every single action.
There's a lot of stuff
that you gave to us to talk a little bit about the program. I'd like to actually give you the opportunity to do that at the county board meeting.
Sure.
So you can talk about the goals of each program. Certainly, in that norm, we're putting a lot of money into Fairmont, and we continue to put a lot of money there. It's become a top priority. But Ron can maybe talk about it, and you guys should take some real pride in the fact that there's such a commitment. But Ron can talk about those things at the full county board meeting.
You want me to do anything now?
But you know what?
You know what, I'd be glad,
To wait.
yeah, I'd be glad to wait.
So we'll give a little synopsis. It probably could just be the sheets you already sent us, but it'd be more from the public.
I think it's important to know what the board's commitment has been so far, and some of the types of programs that we've been funding over the last several years, so it's a good opportunity.
And by the way, those funds do get spread out throughout the county. A lot of those funds do find their way to areas that have a lot of seniors in them. So sometimes people are surprised who qualify. We're putting money in Homer Township, for example. We have.
The senior program in particular is an example of how a little idea that started by Gina Glasgow when she was working at Senior Services Center has morphed into a program that is now suddenly a very significant program for senior services. So, we're glad that it helped that process along with the small amount of money that we're allocating.
Even though I may have occasional differences, I'm extremely proud of our CDBG program and how our funds are been. We're so good at it that we now also do the administration for Bolingbrook and Joliet, right? So
Sometimes we're too good at it.
sometimes we do that. Okay. So I think we'll get allow you a little extra time.
Okay, great.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to place the amended
So moved.
plan on the county board agenda. Okay, motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, so number 5, replacement hires, hire pre-posting for supervisor assessment's office. Moved. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Replacement hire for pre-posting for finance department. Moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Replacement hires pre-posting for maintenance department. Moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Replacement hires for pre-posting for ICT department. Moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Replacement hires for the Division of Transportation. Moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Replacement hire for the Animal Control Department. Moved. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. This next item is the opiate class action lawsuit. It's been brought to our attention. I've asked Mary to give us comment on this. So, Mary?
Yeah, there was a law firm that reached out to the county, actually soliciting our business, wanting to represent the county in a lawsuit against pharmaceutical companies who, if you've been watching the news at all on this issue, there are lawsuits throughout the country that are being launched against the pharmaceutical companies because of their aggressive marketing of opioids and what has been, determined to be their downplaying of the addictive. Thank you. The addictive qualities of these medications, and in the end, which has cost governments a tremendous amount of money through prevention programs, incarcerations, all of these things, and incidents where people have died and now we're taking care of children and whatnot. So it's been a tremendous cost to this country as a whole. So Jim and Reagan asked me to look at it One of the problems I see with just A is there are several law firms out there, so I don't think you would want to jump on with the first one. But in addition, most of them want to come in a contingency fee basis, which is prohibited under Illinois law. And in fact, there are lawsuits out east that have been dismissed on the basis that the government's hired them on a contingency fee basis, which is generally prohibited under most government structures. What the state's attorney's office is doing at this time is reaching out to the attorney general's office to see if they are interested in pursuing this litigation. We could join, as we have in many of our environmental cases, involving Exelon and Exxon, where we jointly prosecute these cases and represent Will County in that manner.
Isn't it how they actually did the tobacco?
It is how they did the tobacco.
Actually, the states did it, and of course, we were part of
Correct.
the benefit, okay?
Correct. So it would be similar to that. And we think that's probably the best way to proceed.
Okay, so we're going to wait on the Attorney General.
Well,
See
we're
if
going to
they-
reach out and find out if she's
They have
doing
interest.
anything. If not, then we'll come back with maybe some other suggestions or some other ways that maybe we can structure something. But the state's attorney is very much in favor of pursuing this and holding the pharmaceuticals who were involved in this kind of behavior accountable.
Okay, Mary, are there any other counties to your knowledge that have already jumped on board with this?
There's one county in Illinois that is suing, it is St. Clair County. Also, the city of Chicago. They initially filed suit in 2014. They had 2 or 3 complaints dismissed. The latest complaint, which was filed, I think, in October of last year, has been upheld and is moving forward.
Does McHenry too going forward?
I have not heard that. I did not see that. I did search quite a bit, but I can look. I didn't go county by county. I basically just Googled to find out, and those, I did actually a pretty extensive search, and only those 2 came up when I searched.
Well, but let me say that there may be some other counties that are looking at it. If we know other counties that are part of a committed to an action, Suzanne, if you know,
Yeah,
we'll
McHenry,
just
yeah.
bring that forward to the state's attorney's office to review.
Yeah.
We'll reach out to them. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. But we'll be reaching out to their state's attorneys.
Correct.
So, okay. So is there any questions about this? We're certainly interested, I think, in pursuing such action. Certainly, I think Will County is, and I do happen to think that there's some merit to the overzealous marketing of such drugs and prescribing such drugs to young athletes, for example. All of a sudden, a kid goes from a model citizen to a drug addiction. So I do think there's some merit to holding them responsible. So is there any other question? We're going to continue. State's Attorney's Office will continue to investigate what's out there. Yeah, okay. Okay, number 12, authorizing agreement for installation of traffic signal on Weber Road. Mr. Kavanaugh is here. This really comes down to Don's not here. Are we all familiar with the Weber Road signalization? I would just like to really, okay, Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a signal that Mr. Shiner owns a development along Weber Road. There's been some concern about putting the signal in because the distance between the signals is very short and less than what is recommended in the state regulations. There's also the issue that the warrants have not been met. State's attorney has done a considerable amount of research on this issue and discussion, and we have reached the position that while the warrants are more of a technical issue, and as such, there is some room for variance. Our ordinance does provide for a variance procedure. And in this case, the state would allow a left turn lane to go in on Weber Road, allowing a left turn into the development, but without lights, which in our minds is probably less safe than putting in lights. In addition, the county engineer has indicated that the design could be made safe to put lights in there. And so we have determined that it is, it is fine for a county board to move forward with this. Was there something else I was going to say?
Okay, Mary, it sounds fine. What I'd like to do is move this to the full county board.
Motion.
Second. Okay, we got a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
So we'll go to the full county board a week from today, with a recommendation, I should say, with a recommendation to allow the light to take place that we put there. And then arguments can be made there, whether you want to say yes or no. Go ahead, Jeff.
May, sir.
Go ahead.
My understanding what the state's attorney has mentioned, and I just want to characterize that when we say it is safe, that is a debatable term, and our office is not in a position to say that that is safe. Can it fit geometrically? Yes. Does it show that progression of traffic can move forward? Yes. So I just don't want everyone to assume that DOT is a...
What I do assume is you would make
Yes.
Design changes that you think would be the most beneficial to design changes. I guess this is what we would talk about at the county board meeting. We can talk a little about here. If we were going to put in the light, then I assume you're going to have recommendations how it should be done.
I would say if you're going to put in a light, how it is designed is what you would have.
Yes. So it would always be contingent on approval of the design, right?
The design with variance is that...
The variance is right. The variance, so the variance is allowing the signal, but would require some design changes.
How they have it designed now is really the only way it could go.
Okay.
So,
I just wanted to go full, we'll go to a vote.
yes.
You can, Jeff, express your views on this. I think I just like to see it go to a vote. And it'll be, I guess, determined one way or the other.
That's understood.
Okay, all right. Any other comments on that?
I just want to,
Yeah.
just so you're aware of what you'll be voting on, it would be for a variance for the distance between the signals, the distance between the signals, the intersection, and the warrants. There's also a sunset provision. They would not be able to put in these lights until after the present Weber Road construction is complete, which is 2 years from now. There's a sunset provision in the resolution that would require them to install it within 5 years.
Okay, so Mary, you're going to help us with that?
It's already drafted.
It's already drafted, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, okay?
I'd just like to make a comment, to say thanks to Mr. Kavanaugh and the State's Attorney's Office for the due diligence on the behalf of the residents in our district, Mark and I. It's actually going to be advantageous in 2 ways, safety as well as the economic development plan that, as far as the shopping center there too. And we look forward to the continued pursuit of it, and if there's anything that we can do on our end. And this will be one of the red lights that I look forward to stopping at in the near future.
Mark, you know,
Mark may not stop.
you agree, okay. All right. You concur, okay. So we got a motion and a second then to bring this forward. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? You did have a motion and a second, didn't we? Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Who made the proclamation? Anything you want to say about proclamation?
Boy Scouts from the dead. And what was the other one?
Recognizing Jerry Nadero.
Oh, Jerry's retirement, right.
Retirement. So they'll be presented with a certificate. Those two.
Just those two.
Appointments of the county executive. We did add workforce, some listed on there. For example, I'm going off workforce board, Gloria will be going on workforce board. So it'll be our county board representative. Mike?
Laurie, do we have a question on one of the?
Yeah, on the public health board, we had presented a recommendation for that board, and I didn't know where that went, or had it been.
Okay,
It's
so
different
let me-
than the gentleman's name who's here.
So let me ask, is the appointment going forward with a different name? I have to look.
No, this is the name that was originally presented.
Yes,
Okay.
the existing individual is being brought forward this month, which we talked about, no longer lives in Will County or works in Will County.
Okay, so we will.
We have someone
to
else.
So we want to
So we'll make a
remove
motion, make a motion to remove that from the appointments.
Yes, so moved.
Move,
Second.
motion, second. So we're removing the health department board,
Board of Health, yeah.
board of health.
So we're sort of the only one going forward.
Okay, so there's a motion, saying all in favor? Aye. And we're doing this because we do think that we'd like to see one of our more local people on versus somebody who no longer lives or practices in the county. Gloria, you've been working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We-
Yes, okay. Okay. Your other new business?
We need to appoint.
Oh, you
Was
need
that all?
one.
County appoint.
That was it.
Was that, was that all?
So we did the, okay, so the motion to approve the appointments of the county executive. Move. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. You know, this may be a good time, David, you have Joel.
That's
You
Mr.
know,
Speaker.
we've discussed for a long time, bring a facility management person forward to bring us kind of maybe, I like to always say, at least bring us into the 20th century, but we went on a long search and
Look like you have to be at least 20 though.
and I think that, you know, David went through all the applicants and went through an interviewing process, and so the county executive did approve hiring someone. I'll let David introduce him, and I'm very happy we have him on board. So, David.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I realize it's been a long morning for everyone, so I'll be very brief. But I would like to point out that our new facilities manager, standing to my right, is Joel Van Essen. He joins the county after a long career in the military with the United States Navy, and his most recent position, he just departed from University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was managing a cancer center project and provided some oversight to the emergency, the renovations to the emergency center, or emergency room. So, Joel Van Essen joined us on the 11th this week, and we have hit the ground running. So we have high expectations, and we're going to be focused a lot on the new assets that we're bringing online in very short order. So, thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Joel, you want to say hello? You want to say a few words? How happy you are to be here?
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for approving the hire, but also just being on the team here at Will County, and I look forward to working with all of you. And we do want to look at a comprehensive facility management of all our facilities, so this will be a really great opportunity.
Thanks. Okay. Any other new business moving forward? I don't think there's any opinions of the state's attorneys that we're reviewing. Now we're going to get to committee reports. Land use, Tom, you have anything?
We didn't have any business to bring forward, so we don't have any business for the county board this month.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Finance, Mike?
Yeah, we've got several things on there. We're going to be transferring and appropriating some cash into the Fund 314 from Brown proceeds. We're going to be increasing the appropriation in the sheriff's truck weight scale budget. We're going to be appropriating grant funds in the health department budget for tobacco control. We're going to be appropriating grant funds in the health department budget for teen pregnancy prevention. And authorizing the county executive to execute necessary tax delinquent documents.
Okay, any questions for Mike? Public Works, John had to leave. Tom, you want to make any comment on Public Works?
Just some routine maintenance projects and assignments for some of the townships. That's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, judicial, who would, Garrett's
Just
not
one
here.
awarding the food contracts.
Okay, well, this could be awarding the food contract for River Valley. Public health and safety, Judy, have anything for me?
Yeah, I have award for bidding diabetic supplies and also authorizing county executive to enter into the fiscal year 18 Illinois Prevention Prescription Drug Opioid Overdose Related Deaths Uniform Grant Agreement. Is that long enough?
That's good, that's good. Any questions for Judy? Legislative, Suzanne?
I think I've talked a lot lately, so we're good.
You're good, okay, thank you. Any questions for Suzanne? Capital improvements, Mr. Chiarella?
We just have one authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to the countywide radio system tower lease agreement. That's it.
Any questions for Mr. Chiarella? Okay, any questions for me for executive? Okay, public comment, is there any public comment today? No, other thing is, we already did executive sessions, discuss labor negotiation, already did that. Mike, do you have something?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to put me on the agenda or you just want me to talk at the county board meeting about my trip to Washington DC.
I think you just talk.
Talk under
Okay.
comment.
So for those of you who don't, Mike went and gave testimony in Washington DC on, NACO invited him down to give testimony, so he's gonna report on that. I think you can just do that.
Do it finance.
Under finance, sure. Okay, so then I'll entertain a motion to approve the county board agenda as amended.
Move.
Move. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to August 3rd.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. I know it was a long day.